Hey, welcome to Chris's Corner. I'm Crazy Chris. And this is Movies in a Moment. You ever want to watch a movie or talk about a movie but not really watch the movie? You don't really have the time. You got all these things going on. I don't really have time to watch a movie. Oh, well, that's why I'm here. 5 minutes, summarize the movie, get all the playing points. Especially when you got things like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You got to watch these movies, understand these movies, but you don't have time to watch all that. You're 30 movies behind. I gotcha. Here we go. So today is Iron Man. First one. So in the beginning, you got this guy, Tony Stark, billionaire. He made all his money off of his father's enterprise, which is weapons manufacturing, right? So he's a weapons guy. Gonna be Iron Man. So then he's doing a demonstration out in the desert. And the demonstration is for the military. He has this new Jericho missile. It like flies up in the air and then splits apart to like 100 different things and just blows up entire mountains. Like a pretty cool missile. So he's demonstrating this, and then he gets ambushed and he gets blown up by, he sees it, his own weapons, and then kidnapped by the Ten Rings, who end up not being the Ten Rings, but you find that out later. So that new Ten Rings movie just came out. When this is coming out, the new movie just came out, and the Ten Rings isn't this Ten Rings, but it's the Ten Rings, but not this Ten Rings, by the Mandarin, who's not the Mandarin. It's confusing. You understand later on. Watch my other videos, you'll get it. So Tony Stark is in a cave, and he's stuck in there, and he's dying. He's got the shrapnel going to his heart. So there's this scientist there, so insignificant, you forget his name, but he's also the most important character there was, because if it wasn't for him, Tony wouldn't be able to have made the Iron Man suit. Tony wouldn't have survived. He would have just died right there. Right? But he's in the cave, and these Ten Rings terrorists are just like, hey, make the Jericho missile for us. And Tony Stark with this other scientist like, okay, we can do it, no problem. So then, in secret, is making his Iron Man Mach 1. So the terrorists end up figuring this out towards the end, but they're not quite finished making it, so they gotta kill one of the guards, right? Lock the door, and they're finishing making it, uploading the programming into the Iron Man suit, and Tony Stark is in it, and he's just like trying to survive. So there's an arc reactor in his chest, which is keeping him alive and is keeping the shrapnel from going to his heart, and they use that power to power the Iron Man suit. But it's uploading, it's not enough time yet, so the scientist guy, his buddy, picks up a gun. He's like, I'm gonna buy you time. And Tony's like, no, stick to the plan. I'm gonna buy you time, I'll save you, man. And he runs out there, and he gets killed, right? But he buys him time. And the suit is uploaded. Tony fights his way out, kills a bunch of terrorists, gets out in the open, launches out into the desert, and then this guy, Rhodey, ends up finding him and saving him. And there's this other character they introduced early on named Obadiah, and he's Tony's like chairman of the board of directors for the business. He's his buddy and stuff, right? Saved. Cool. So he immediately holds a press conference before you even doing anything else, sits down, has everyone sit down, and he's just like chilling, and he just says, you know what? I'm going to stop making weapons. He's a weapons manufacturer, no longer making weapons. Everyone's pissed at him. The military comes and talks to him like, bro, if you're doing some secret projects, you got to let me know. Otherwise, like, I don't know what you're doing here, right? And he's like, no, I'm good. And then Obadiah's like, well, we're a weapons manufacturer. It's not selling weapons. The company's going to go under. Tony's like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. So in secret, Tony's in his mansion making, that's right, Iron Man suit. Meanwhile, in the background, you got S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Coulson trying to talk to him. He's not doing it. You got this love connection with Pepper Potts and Tony. And Pepper's like his head secretary lady. And Tony's like this guy who's like sleeping around with all kinds of chicks. But he's got this little like attraction going on there. So then this news reporter shows up and it's like, look at these pictures. Your weapons being sold to all kinds of terrorists and stuff. And Tony's like, how are my weapons being sold to these terrorists? So Tony is in his basement. He's making his newer addition to his Iron Man outfit. And he's watching the news and how these terrorist people are killing each other. He's like, I'm going to do that, right? So he gets in the suit, goes out, starts shooting terrorists. And then the military sees, oh my god, there's a bogey out here doing stuff. So the military start engaging Tony in the Iron Man suit. They're like, it's a guy in a suit. There's like, you got the jet ship, and Tony's like, oh, and he's like, oh. Tony ends up blowing up one of the jets, and the parachute doesn't go off. He goes down there. So at first, Rhodey's calling him, his buddy Rhodey. So you got the Tony screen, and looking at it like this, right? And you got little Rhodey down here, and you got all the stats up here, and the other stuff over here. All these Easter eggs going on in there, just Easter eggs, right? And he's just like, hey, Tony, is that your tech out there? And he's like, no, it's not mine. And then you do a little dogfight, blows up on the jets, and then Tony calls Rhodey back. He's like, actually, that is me. Can you please stop shooting at me? But it's out of Rhodey's control. He's got a commander there who's just like, yeah, that guy just blew up a jet. Like, we got to take him out, right? So then Tony flies away and they get away. And then Rhodey calls Tony. He's like, "You son of a bitch, man. You so crazy. You owe me a jet." And then they go off and whatever. Ha ha ha. Fun, fun, fun. And Tony's in the basement trying to get out of this suit, and Pepper walks in and catches him, of course. You find out, you flash over to the terrorist group, the Ten Rings. Boom, Obadiah's there. And Obadiah's like, "Hey, buddy, I hired you to do a job. You didn't do a job." So we find out Obadiah's the bad guy is doing the secret deals, right? It's just like, "I brought you a job." And the guy's like, "Let me show you this." And they go inside the tent, and they got the Iron Man, the Mach 1. Because Iron Man, when he escaped, he took off into the desert, crashed, it blew up everywhere. Then he got rescued, and he just left the rubble there. So the Ten Rings ended up picking up the rubble. The Ten Rings, not Ten Rings, the fake Ten Rings. Ended up picking up that rubble and putting it back together. And just Iron Man, so Obadiah was like, "This is how we did it," right? And then Obadiah shows this cool weapon where, like, it's like a ring where you just put it next to the guy's head, and it just, like, makes him all, like, paralyzed. And he does that, and he kills the terrorist group, and then you go outside, and all the terrorists are dead, right? So Obadiah's just, like, cleaning house. He's got this cool weapon. It's like the coolest weapon ever. He uses it one time, and then one more time later in the movie, and then that weapon just disappears. I think Tony's like, "That shit's too powerful. We can't give that to nobody. We gotta destroy that tech." I think that's what happened. Everyone's just like, "Hey, where'd that go? That just disappeared." Then Pepper's like, "Okay, well," she sneaks into Obadiah's office. They suspect something, and boom, lo and behold, finds in the files of all the plans and stuff of kidnapping Tony Stark and working with the Ten Rings. So they find out Obadiah got, like, dirty hands. He's all bad. So Pepper Potts walking out, and Obadiah's, like, looking at her all menacingly, like she knows that he knows, and he knows that she knows, and everyone knows, right? So Pepper Potts goes out and calls S.H.I.E.L.D., like, "S.H.I.E.L.D., I need your help." Obadiah shows up at Tony's mansion while he's just, like, sitting back drinking, and boom, that ring thing, paralyzed, so powerful that I never used it again. And rips out his heart. Says, "I'll take this reactor, and I'm going to make my own Iron Man suit," which he's been doing in secret. He's been trying to figure out how to make his own Iron Man suit to try to defeat Tony Stark. So Obadiah takes that, he goes back to the factory, he puts on his own big Iron Man suit, and Tony's like, almost dead, crawling, "You're dead." Takes the first reactor he made in the cave that he had, like, as a trophy, and that was Pepper Potts helped him earlier switch that out. She had her hand stuck in his chest, and she was trying to save his life. As soon as he got back from being kidnapped earlier in the movie, he switched out his reactors. The old one was dying, and he had to, like, "I almost died," and she's just like, "Never do that again," and he's like, "I almost had a heart attack, but well, good, yeah." So that was earlier. So anyway, he crawls into his thing, he takes his statue, and he dies. He doesn't make it in time, but Jarvis, his robot butler, pretty much, is just the computer that runs the whole house, called Jarvis. Boom, had a little thing, saved him, gave it to him. He's just like, "Thanks, Jarvis." He's alive. He goes, puts on his Iron Man suit, and he flies off. We flash over to Obadiah, and Pepper Potts shows up with S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Agent Coulson in the front. "We're gonna go get this stuff." Blah, 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 blah. And they open the door, and Obadiah's right there. Big Iron Man suit. Fights through everyone. But then Tony Stark comes in. Boom! Then they have this big epic fight, and at the end, they fly up to high altitude. Where earlier in the movie, Tony was on high altitude, and he froze. He fell. He solved that problem. So he flew up with Obadiah as high as he can at the end of the battle. Big epic battle. Obadiah, who ends up freezing in the high atmosphere, and Tony's like, "Did you solve that freezing problem?" Right in the head, and he just falls down. Right? And happily ever after. But you know that wasn't the end. His suit's almost out of power. He had like 2% power. He was falling, like, fall. Good. Man, kind of softly at the top of the building. He's like, "Hey, Potts, you okay?" And she's like, "Tony, it was okay." And then big giant Iron Man, Obadiah's giant Iron Man, lands behind him, and they fight some more. And then Tony's like, "Overload the arc reactor." It's a big giant arc reactor. It's like a renewable resource thing, which they had a small version of it, which powered the Iron Man suit. Yeah, they have this big epic rooftop battle, and they overload the arc reactor at the bottom, and Pepper Potts is down there, and she almost blows up, and everyone almost dies, but it doesn't, and everyone's okay. At the end, Iron Man beats Obadiah, and that's it. So Iron Man defeats Obadiah, and, cutscene, Iron Man's almost dead, laying on the ground. But he's okay, and everyone's fine. And the cutscene to a little heart-to-heart with Pepper Potts, and Agent Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D. was there, and they're just like, "Ha ha 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 ha, this is what you're gonna say, this is what you're gonna do, tell the press this happened, and tell the press that happened." And he goes out in front of the press, he just goes, "I am Iron Man." He just tells people. He's like, "I'm not gonna do any, like, back secret, lie about this, lie about I am Iron Man, I did all that crap." Boom. Everyone's just like, oh. Flash forward, end credit scene, you got Nick Fury shows up. He's just like, "Hey, Tony, we're putting a team together. You want to be part of a team, something bigger than yourself?"